Namaskar, this is Boddhisatya Tarafdar. Good morning to all of you. And this program right now is going live to the platforms of History That Matters, then Netaji Subhash Aine Information Center, Kolkata, and Southeast Asian Historical Research Forum, Kolkata. The morning was not very good actually for all of us because mm, we got the news about passing away of the legendary singer uh, Lata Mangeshkar ji, and it was really very bad news. And she was a legendary figure in Indian musical industry, in Indian music industry, and particularly to Indian cinema. So uh, I, on behalf of all the three pages, pray to the God that her soul rest in peace. Now, let us move to the main issue of our program, that is uh, on 23rd of January 2022. We have celebrated the 125th. We were in celebrating the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji. The government of India, the government of Bengal, and various governments of in India, and various groups, various organizations, researchers, activists working for Netaji, working for Netaji. We're celebrating the year-long celebrations to celebrate 125th birth anniversary of Netaji. Now, uh, on last, that is on 23rd of January 2022, uh, we celebrated the 126th birth anniversary of Netaji, and there was a great declaration made by our honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, that is, which is about unveiling the statue of Netaji at the very India Gate. That is, what he has done right now is he has unveiled a hologram statue. That is a digital uh, statue type of a thing. And the main statue, as far as my knowledge is concerned, the actual the statue made of granite will be installed on 15th of August, as far as I know. So that is basically a historic decision taken by government of India, or or by our prime minister. So this was really a historic day. I believe that was on 21st of January 2021, 2022, that the prime minister declared, and the whole social media, it was all about the news about Netaji, and I being a Netaji admirer, and I probably all the Netaji admirers, researchers, activists, all would have been all were very happy after getting the news, because why that particular place is important. There are various people, various specialists and experts. They have already explained the thing in various media platforms. Let me tell you from this platform also, that why that particular place, that is that vacant canopy near the India Gate, was so strategically important. Why? Because in 1911, as in 1911, the George V, the Emperor of India, or the monarch of UK, he was also Emperor of India at that point of time, as we were the subjects of the British Kingdom. So he visited India, and this was the example. This was for the first time that any British monarch has visited India. He visited India, and and he made some declaration. And he made a very important declaration that the the capital of India will be shifted from Calcutta. Then Calcutta, present day Kolkata was then Calcutta. So will be shifted from Calcutta to Delhi, and that was a big decision made at that point of time, because in Bengal there were huge protests regarding Lord Curzon's decision to divide Bengal into western and eastern part. and that decision was made in 1905. So the Bengalis were fighting against it, and ultimately in 1900 ultimately in 1911, uh, the Britishers had to change the British Indian government had to change the decision. The crown had to change the decision, and as a result in 1911, as a result in 1911, the monarch visited India. The monarch visited India. He addressed the Delhi Darbar in Delhi, and he made the declaration that the capital will be shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. Now, uh, later, to mark his uh, as a mark of respect to the great emperor, great British emperor, the there was the canopy was made at the very Rajpath. At that point of time, that was known as the King's Road or the King's Way during British India. And on one hand we have the famous India Gate, which is actually a memorial to the martyrs of these First World War. And the First World War, there were the British Indian soldiers gave their lives to fight for their British masters, and in their memory, not only for the Indian men, but for the British Indian Army, there is a memorial in which is known as in India Gate. So near India Gate, on that Kingsway, this particular canopy was constructed as a mark of respect to the British Empire, to the British Emperor, and the statue of George V was installed. So it is not that just after getting independence, that is on uh, 1947, that is in 1947, though we were given the status of dominion, though but for the sake of argument, let us take it as we got independent on 15th of August 1947. And but after getting independence also, this statue was not taken away from that particular place. There was protests in 1965, and that particular um, statue was also vandalized, and there were activists and people who protested. They were demanding to install Netaji's statue in that particular spot, but the government of India took the decision to take out that particular uh, statue of George V from that place in 1968, if I'm not wrong, in 1968, and that statue was placed in Coronation Park in Delhi. After that, there were demands that there should be Netaji statue installed in that place, and there were also demands, as you can understand, that Gandhiji's statue should be installed out there. But now we are very happy that the statue of liberator of India, rather the statue of liberator of the whole Indian subcontinent, uh, will be present out there, and the hologram statue is already there. And as I was telling, that why that particular why that place is strategically so important, because we have Netaji's statue in that canopy, and on one hand we have the famous India Gate. On the other hand, we have the National War Memorial, and that particular and that area is full of all the important offices uh, related to administration uh, of government of India. So that location is strategically so important, and the only man, I think all of you will be agreeing with me that the only person who deserves that particular place is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So because he played the strategic role and the instrumental role in throwing out the colonial masters out of India. So we see that there are so many developments. I will also mention the fact that we have seen the letters of as we can see in social media that was available. There are people who shared it, and we are thankful to them that uh, regarding that tableau related aspect, as West Bengal government was also having a tableau related to Netaji, and the CPWD, Central PWD, was also having a Netaji tableau. Ultimately, Bengal's tableau was rejected. Ultimately, Bengal's tableau was rejected. But there is a very important thing in uh, the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's letter. We have seen that she has written it to the government of India in protest of that. But in that particular letter, there is a very strategic important point which is mentioned out there, is that she has categorically mentioned that Netaji's INA has played the main role in has given the last blow to the British Empire. So uh, we must cherish this line, because uh, a political leader of that stature has mentioned it clearly. Has mentioned it clearly that Netaji's INA, or Netaji's military, that means the Netaji's military activities, or Netaji's military venture, has given the final blow to the British Empire. As we all were saying it 100 times, 1,000 times, that why Netaji should be regarded as the liberator of India, because the last movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi or the Congress was a Quit India movement, which was in 1942, and which has failed. And there are historical evidences which say that Quit India movement actually failed. We must study all these things in our history books, or rather there is no requirement to go for full-fledged research works. These things are very much clear, that Quit India movement actually failed. The British have bulldozed the movement in 1942 itself. So after becoming victorious in 1945, I'm saying about the British authorities, why there was a why they were in a hurry to leave India? Why they were in a hurry to leave India? So we were saying, Clement Attlee has also mentioned the same in Calcutta, to Justice Fonibhushan Chakraborty, who was who was the acting governor at that point of time in Bengal. And later on, we see British declassified documents. In British declassified documents, we see that it is clear that there were letters, communications from the IB, from the governors of various provinces in India, communication by the Viceroy of India to the British to the British Prime Minister and to the British monarch, that it is time. There is great outrage. There are severe protests regarding the INA trials among the people. So either we need 5 regiments of White Army, or we need to take a decision related to India now. So Clement Attlee, the Prime Minister who signed that Indian Independence Act, has also stated the same thing. So who are we to not to believe the same? Who are we not to believe the same? This is not about believing a British Prime Minister. This is about accepting facts. I believe this is about accepting facts. So we need to learn how to accept facts. It is not that somebody's statement has to be believed. It is about accepting facts. So declassified documents are clearly stating the same. So we are not denying, rather nobody is denying the fact that there are contributions by many in Indian independence movement. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. But the contributions of the revolutionaries, the contributions of the revolutionaries, the contributions of Netaji's INA men must get proper recognition. And Netaji's diplomacy, and the sacrifices made by the Azad Hind Fauj gave the final blow to the British Empire, and the British Empire was made bound to grant independence to India at that point of time. But that was also a dominion status uh, thing. So we must accept the facts. So that is why I am saying out here that rather we all are saying that the person whose statue should be there, and at that specific area, in that specific strategically important area, that significant area, should be one person. He is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So we all are very happy about that, and in that sense we all are also demanding that installation of a statue is a great step, there is no doubt, but history books should have proper narration, must have elaborated narration of Netaji's contribution and the sacrifices made by the Azadin Fauj, and also the sacrifices made by the revolutionaries, due to whom we got independence in real sense. So we must admit the fact that Netaji and his INMN gave the final blow to the British Empire. Secondly, the history books must have proper explanation in detail the activities of Netaji, the activities of Azadin Fauj, the role of Azadin government, which was recognized by 11 independent nations at that point of time, and which was a full-fledged government. There were many such governments in exile were created during that time, and all have got strategic importance, and we respect everybody who has given who has put efforts to make India free. But the Azad Hind government, or the Arzi Hukumat Azad Hind, or the government of Free India, was different. It was actually a government which has got all the elements, to become a full-fledged government. And Netaji planned it in such a beautiful manner, in such a strategic manner, and as we now know that Netaji and his Azadin men were responsible for making India free ultimately. So we must say that the strategies of Netaji and the strategic importance of the Azadin government uh, was was so high, and it was so important, and it was ultimately a successful thing, a successful venture, a successful war. Though Netaji lost the war, though the Azad Hind Fauj lost the war along with the Japanese against the British Raj, but Netaji won the freedom for the independence of India, as we say. There are. I also appeal to the government of India. There are other important aspects also. The declassified files, the declassified documents in Bengal, which were declassified by the Mamata Banerjee government and declassified by the Narendra Modi government, that is the central government. Also, state there are so many issues. Also, there are issues related to Netaji's marriage, and Netaji having a child. That's the thing. And I'm not an authority in that sense, but and the thing is that, and I'm not claiming anything, but the thing is, there the documents are in public domain. The documents have already become declassified. There are issues relating to there are confusions related to the birth certificate, of Netaji's child, or related to Netaji's marriage, and the documents are declassified now, and there is huge confusion about that. There are researchers who are working on that, Dr. Joyanto Chaudhary has already come up with all the aspects relating to this, regarding the issue of Netaji's marriage. So, and the government, I we also appeal that the government must come up with a proper stand in this, in that regard. And the aspects should not be stated in a manner of an opinion. Rather, facts should be stated. Rather, facts should be stated. Facts should be any statement should be based on facts. So I'm not claiming anything. Rather, I believe that government must come up with the facts, with the proper stand in that regard. Just a second. With the proper stand in that regard. So we, from this platform, also appeal to the government of India to come up with a proper stand regarding Netaji's marriage or having a child related issue. And then there is another issue related to the Netaji's great escape from India to Berlin. Though we all term it now as a great journey, so we should not call it as an escape. Rather, this was actually a great journey, and that journey which started from the house of Netaji, that is Netaji Bhavan or the Elgin Road, Netaji's house from Elgin Road. So that means that journey actually paved the way for India's importance. So that journey is also very important. So there are issues related to, and there are facts related to Netaji's journey, that whether that great journey actually happened in such a manner, what we learned till date. And there are confusions, there are doubts related to that car also, which was through which Netaji was taken to Gumo. There are research works and there are documentations which states that the journey actually began in a different manner, on a different date. So government, we also appeal to the government to come up with the proper facts. There are research works, there are books written in that regard, and those must be taken seriously. I believe those must be taken seriously. All the facts related to Netaji should should come up, should come up clearly to the public domain, to the public domain, so that we may have a clear opinion about that. And lastly, I would appeal to government of India, also to the government of Bengal. Rather, this is specifically to government of India, that Netaji's death mystery should be resolved. If there is a requirement, there are various people who are working on that. Anujdhar, Chandrachur Ghosh, Janet G.D. Bakshi, Professor Kapil Kumar, Dr. Jayanta Chaudhary. I have already taken his name. They are the researcher, and there are many researchers also. There are many researchers who are fighting for this. Who have already gathered so many informations. So if the government feels that there should be another commission to find out the facts, so there should be a commission. So I believe that we are still unaware about the fact that what happened to Netaji after 1945. Whether Gumnami Baba was, or Bhagwanji, rather I must say Bhagwanji was Netaji, or he expired in Russia, or he died in the plane crash. So there are confusions. So government of India should come up with facts in this regard also. Rather, government of India must investigate this aspect, and this must be done now. So we are already celebrating 125th or 126th birth anniversary of Netaji. So why to take so much time? We must come up with the facts, and I appeal to government of India that the death mystery that the aspect related to Netaji's death mystery must end now. So this is all about for today's program, and we all believe that we all will be getting inspired by the works and sacrifices made by Netaji, his ideologies, his idea of nation building. So this was all about from me, all about from this platform. So from the platform of uh, Netaji Subhash Ainu Information Center, the historical, the Southeast Asian Historical Research from Kolkata, and from History That Matters, I Boddhisatya Tarafdar will see you again on some other day. But will come very soon. We'll meet very soon, brother. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram.